Webster's dictionary defines perfection as, if you're not a good photographer, you just need to buy the perfect camera. And what's the perfect camera? Watch my video and find out. That's a doe. She's been coming around quite a bit. How peaceful. Just chilling right outside the window. Alright, what is up? Welcome back to another video. This one is going to be kind of a sad one, but not really. A happy one. A passing on, if you will. We are saying goodbye to a, at one time, beloved member of my flock here. It's a camera that I got a few years ago. I really wanted it for a while. Went through some rough times, redeemed itself a bit at the end. And that camera is, of course, the Contax S2. So this is a really quality camera. For the longest time, I thought that this was going to be it for me. Like, this was the perfect camera. Top shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second, fully mechanical, very simplified metering system, really honing in bare minimum mechanical nature of film photography, just really presenting a more simplified version. And that's something that I really admire and look for. So I was like, this is going to be fantastic. And it was for a bit, and then it died, and that was a bummer. But I fixed it and made a video about it, and then didn't make a follow-up video because I quite literally had nothing to say. I recorded 2 versions of it, both of which were unsubstantial, and I didn't really feel like worth doing much with. I could have talked more about the results I got, but ultimately the video intent was to be about using the camera itself and the impact that it had on me and all that. I had a hard time coming up with any of that because this camera is, for as much as I enjoy it and for as nice of a camera as I think it is, I think that it lacks that X factor that really sets other cameras in my collection apart. When I think about something like the F3, I'm lost for words to describe how much I like it, all the different reasons I like it, all of the times in which I wish I had it with me as opposed to the other camera I might have with me, whatever. Same thing for like a K1000, just a very sublime experience, very simple, the true essence of photography. Or even something like the Mamiya C330, where every time I shoot with it, I just kick myself because I'm thinking, why don't I shoot with this more? But I don't really have that with this because I think it's so much of a good thing, but it's still very different from what I want, which is dumb. Like, it's really dumb. So where does that leave us with this? Selling it. I'm excited for it to go on and live a very fulfilled life elsewhere. Hopefully the person who bought it will shoot with it and use it for many years to come. So I'm not trying to like downgrade this system, but I do think it's an interesting exercise because I think for a lot of the people out there that I've spoken to, friends, people that comment on these videos and stuff like that, they all have this idea of the perfect film camera for them. And I wanted to begin this video with kind of traditional. Webster's dictionary defines perfection as. I think that's funny. It's the worst way to begin a video, worst way to begin a speech. I decided against it because I think there's a clear delineation between what I find funny and what is actually fun. So instead, we're getting this. There's this propped up idealization of perfection. Whatever that entails for you, it's this thing that kind of always exists beyond one's reach. I think that we live kind of in a world that's more tailored to consumerism, and so the idea is like, well, if you can buy the perfect thing. Like, if is your life difficult, well, buy this thing. It'll make it easier. Do you want better looks? Buy this diet plan. Do you want more convenient something? Buy this gadget. Do you want to be cool? Buy this thing and you'll be cool. Every problem that we seemingly have can be fixed with buying something. If you're not a good photographer, you just need to buy the perfect camera. And what's the perfect camera? Watch my video and find out. That doesn't exist. Even in the examples I just gave you, I listed out 3 cameras, and there's many more. Just for the sake of brevity, I'm going to stop at 3, but there's many more cameras that I absolutely adore. I would classify as perfect cameras. To be the perfect anything, it's kind of a one-of-one situation. Like, there's only one first place. You know, I mean, there's ties and stuff like that, but like the F3 and the K1000 have very little in common except for the fact that they're 35mm SLRs. Outside of that, different manufacturer, different lens mount, completely different operation system, different metering system, all sorts of different things. So they're not the same. It's not a tie race. the metrics in which I use to measure perfection are based solely upon my experience, as they would be for you. Like if you find a camera that you think is absolutely perfect, an Argus C3, and to you that is just the perfect camera. I think that's a terrible camera. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun gimmicky thing, but I do think it's a terrible camera. But you think it's perfect for you, and that's completely fine. Like, my opinion in this situation is completely invalid. Okay? But the point being is that perfection doesn't really exist. It's not a thing. It exists for you, it exists for me, but my advice sometimes can be general. Advice is helpful, but ultimately, nobody can help you find the perfect anything. You have to find something that you kind of like and then tailor it so it works within your means. So this, I thought, would be the perfect camera because I thought it would check all those boxes, and I thought, man, this will really help dial in my issues with composition, my issues with shooting film too fast, my issues with not savoring the moment, my issues with not slowing down. All of these issues this could solve, and it didn't. It kind of did none of that, and ultimately became a camera that I used very little. I shot a few rolls through it and I really liked it, but it just didn't have that X factor to push it up to that level, that upper room of what I'm looking for in a film camera. Unfortunately, it becomes one of those situations where you have to kind of buy to try it out and stuff like that. So even though I can rationally say that, like, I know that there's no such thing out there as perfection, I'm still kind of inclined to want to try these things. I'm still like, I have this idea of what would be perfect, and if I could just have that, then it would be great, and all of this stuff. And I think we all have that because we all want to be optimistic about the future. We all want to look forward to stuff. We all want to like be striving for perfection in film cameras or in any area of your life. It does not exist. It just is not a thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that you just enjoy life for what it is. Enjoy sometimes the mediocrity. Enjoy all of the little components that go into making life what it is, the good and the bad. I think with this, there's a lot of good to enjoy about the system. There is a little bit of bad too. It is very limiting in certain areas. It's very heavy too, which I'm now realizing is more of just a Contax thing. I have another one over there they'll do another video on, but these are hefty cameras. Other systems I've talked about before, they're not for me. This one isn't as well. The only difference is this is one that I set out having very high expectations of, and ultimately when it fell short, because the expectations were higher, the failure was felt that much more. That's kind of an interesting thought process to have, and I think that's a cautionary tale, because if you do have this camera in mind that it's going to be the perfect camera for you if you can just get your money together and buy one, and ultimately it falls short, there's a lot of complicated feelings that go into that. Are you a bad photographer? Is everything bad? Whatever. But really what I think it stems down to is film, photography in general, a very mixed bag of experiences between different cameras, different formats, different types of photography you can do. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer in any of those different avenues. If you want to do one type, then one camera is going to work perfect for you. If you want to try a different type, that camera might not work at all. So my caution to you would be to appreciate what you have. I don't think that striving to get that next thing is going to be the solution in the end. I think that most of the time, whatever camera you have, as long as it works and as long as you feel comfortable and confident using it, that will be the perfect camera for you. It's kind of a lesson that I've spoken about on this channel many times and will continue to talk about. There shouldn't be a high threshold of entry. You shouldn't have to have the $1,000, the $600, the $500 camera to be a good film photographer. As seen in the Dune photo book that I talked about a while ago. But most of the photos in that were shot with an OM10, a camera which is not really that great. It's a fine camera. By all measures, it works, obviously. Photo book with it, but it's not great. And I don't think anyone would argue that it is. It's a student camera, which there's nothing wrong with. But it's not a Leica M6. It's not the Bessa 2, it's not a Contax T2, it's not any of these cameras that seem to be propped up as like the camera, the thing. Even when I talk about cameras I do really like the Nikon F3 or the Pentax K1000 or whatever other cameras that I personally enjoy, the reasons that I enjoy those things don't solely exist within those cameras. They exist within other systems as well. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to you, the user. What do you value? And that's why I think that there can be no answer for the perfect film camera. It's not this Contax S2. There's no answer. It's just whatever you like to use, whatever inspires you to take photos. And for me, it wasn't this Contax S2. And I think that's kind of why I had a hard time making a follow-up video. I just wasn't inspired by it. I felt kind of excited to be done shooting with it and excited to move on to the next chapter where I can appreciate different systems and share that with you. So don't buy a bunch of shit just to buy a bunch of shit. That is all. I hope you enjoyed the impromptu video of the deer. I was really excited to see that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave those down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel as well. Definitely appreciate that support. Feel free to join the channel as well for exclusive access to videos, early access to other videos, so on and so forth. I think that'll do it. So I'll catch you on the next one.